kids are getting pretty wild in there, man. Is that safe?
Yeah, they're fine. I've got their keys.
Everybody, we're going to start off where we left off yesterday, talking about the Americans before the
Hey, have a beer, man. You deserve it.
It's not worth it. Underage drinking risks everything you're working for.
Welcome. My name is Christy Pancratz, and I am the Director of Safe Streets. If you wouldn't mind signing in on the little yellow sheet on your table, we just want to make sure we have everyone here so you can get our meeting notices. We won't bombard you, I promise. But a little bit, we have a few new members that I'd like to point out today. Chief Bill Cochran's an official member of Safe Streets. Woohoo! You signed up, sir. We have Marla Isaac with the 10th and Oakley Neighborhood Watch. Let's give her a round of applause. And we have City Manager Brent Trout. Let's give him a round of applause. And if you'd like to sign up to be a member, Judy is in the very back corner in the blue. Judy, wave your hand. Just see her, and it's painless. You don't have to pay anything. You just fill out a sheet of paper, and you're an official member. And that's really what we're about, is connecting people together. We have a lot of people here that are new today, and that is so wonderful. I believe we've got Department of Labor Secretary Alana Gordon here too. Where did she disappear to? Right back there. Let's give her a round of applause too. Well, welcome everyone. We hope we see you back, meeting the first Wednesday of every month. And first order of business, we have some important people we'd like to recognize. And with the Topeka City of Character, Cindy Patton. Let's give her a round of applause.
Well, thank you so much. We have a couple of great people that we're going to recognize today. I'm going to start with Mr. Torres, Jacob Torres, if you'd come forward, and if our nomination committee would come forward as well. Appreciate that. And Sheriff Jones is going to do the honor today to make the presentation to Mr. Torres.
Wow. There he is. Okay. All right. Well, you know, it's only fitting that we have someone from emergency services, emergency responder, that's going to be recognized in that, but they should be recognized every day, as we think. But it's only fitting that we talk about this recognition today for Jacob Torres, and that when we talk about saving lives, he's in the business, and whether he's working or off duty, he's in the business of saving lives, along with many others there. But this recognition here comes to you from the Topeka City Character, which says Kansas Character Recognition Council of Topeka, Shawnee County recognizes Jacob Torres. As the strength of our nation is dependent upon the health and safety of its communities, the strength of our community is dependent upon the character of its citizens. Topeka City of Character and Safe Streets Coalition of Topeka and Shawnee County recognize Jacob Torres. While at church service, Jacob, as well as other off-duty police and fire personnel, intervened in a sudden cardiac arrest. While early CPR and defibrillation, they saved a Topekan's life who is doing very well and returned to normal life. Demonstrating initiative makes Jacob Torres a champion of character. Let's give him a round of applause.
Congratulations. Would you like to say something?
Sure. I just want to say thank you. As the sheriff said, I'm off duty or on duty. I felt like I was just doing my job. It's what anybody would do. And CPR and AEDs save lives. So about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we thank State Farm for being our sponsor to recognize our champion of character. And now I'd like to recognize another very special young lady. Would you come forward, Kaylee? This is Kaylee Kruger. And Kaylee is one of our keys for character. That's being sponsored by A1 Lock and Key, and so we really thank them for helping to sponsor this award for people under 18. And Kaylee, since she was 6 years old, she has asked friends to bring gifts to be donated to community organizations instead of for herself. So when she's had a party or a birthday or something like that, she's asked them to bring gifts. And organizations have included Sick Children at Stormont Vale, Helping Hands Humane Society, and the Topeka Rescue Mission. This act of kindness has been the starting point for her to create Kaylee Cares, an organization that raises money to help others. Kaylee Cares is close to launching, so we wanted to say some very special things about this young lady and her compassion. We thank her for her compassion, and we'd like to recognize her as well. Congratulations, Kaylee. Some pictures. Congratulations, and I bet if we look for websites, we might be seeing that Kaylee Cares. Is that right, Mom? Might be on Facebook, so be looking around for Kaylee Cares. That'd be a great way to encourage this young lady in her philanthropy. And also, if you have anybody else that you'd like to encourage, this is a great way to do it. Make a nomination on topekacharacter.org, and we would love to be able to recognize other people in the community that show good character. Our character word for the month is honesty, meaning being truthful in what I say and do. So keep that in mind. Help to recognize other people in the community that you see doing honest things. That's a great way to encourage honesty in the community. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Cindy. A couple orders of housekeeping. There are some minutes that are on your table from last meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve those? Awesome, second. Thank you very much. Well, a little bit about what Safe Streets has been up to lately. We are starting to go gangbusters for what event? Anybody want to guess? National Night Out, of course. We have our first planning meeting, if you would believe that, on April 18th, 6:30 p.m. at the library. Encourage you, if you're not sure what National Night Out is, come join us. If you want to see a room full of excited people, come join us. It's really just, I see several people out here who participate on a regular basis from the neighborhoods, and it's just a wonderful time to get to know your neighbors, connect with local law enforcement, and really celebrate our community, because this is one of the things that makes our community great. We have a couple other things coming up as well. We have a retailer meeting, which is for loss prevention. We have an IFO, which is for financial organizations, and if any of you are interested in that, please let me know, and I'll be glad to get you on our list. One event that we have coming up is called The Impact. If you might remember, several years ago, we had a group from Seaman High School act out some scenarios regarding drug use and what happens. We had a lot of partners help us with that, including Seaman High School, and we're pleased to announce that they're going to come back with us, and we're partnering with Boys and Girls Club on the 14th to host it at 10 o'clock a.m. at the Boys and Girls Club. Really encourage you to come out. This is for kids ages 10 and up and their families. That's the kicker. We don't want kids just to be there by themselves. We want this to be a family engagement opportunity to talk with kids and start those conversations. Or if you don't have kids and you're interested in volunteering, I can always use volunteers for that as well too, so please see me afterwards if that's of interest. We're also featuring a State of the Community on Substance Use on April 24th at 6:30 at the library, and we'll be sending out more details on that as that gets closer. Now let's see, we are ready for our updates from our partners. First off, we have the Topeka Police Department. We have Officer Wall, who is from the West Side Community Office. Officer Wall, come forward. Let's give him a round of applause.
I do have to apologize. Sergeant Wilson was supposed to be here, but he got a very, very last minute notice to appear in court. So unfortunately for you guys, you have to listen to me for a few minutes. I'm sure these slides have been seen at every one of our coalition meetings. As we know, blue means good, and as we look at violent crimes that have occurred so far in 2018, we see good numbers. We've had 56 less violent crimes in the city of Topeka in 2018 than we did at this same time period in 2017, so we're very happy with those numbers. We see with property crimes, though, that they are also down, which we're happy about again. One thing that I want to highlight is our auto thefts are down by 24 in 2018 than it was in 2017. Last year we got inundated with auto thefts around this time of year, and we're happy to see that number down right now. To highlight what's going on in the Topeka Police Department, just recently the city of Topeka got to host the Special Olympics basketball and cheerleading competition. The community police unit was on hand there and was able to celebrate with them some of their games. This is a pretty exciting opportunity for people that live or work within the City Council's District 1. This is an event that's been planned and organized by community members. Half of it is going to be education, where people get the opportunity to take classes on code enforcement actions or how to form neighborhood watch. And then the other half of it's going to be an open forum in which members of the community are able to have a conversation with their local community police officer, and maybe we can figure out a way that we could all work better together. And then, as Christy pointed out, National Night Out's coming up, and our community police unit, we focus on this event. I think there's 80 last year, and we tried to make every single one, and that's the plan again for this year. Very quick.
All right. Thank you very much, Officer Wall. And our goal is to make it to 100, so we're going to keep you extra busy. You hear that, Sheriff? 100. Okay. Just want to make sure we're on a... All right, next up we have an update from the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. Sergeant Andrew Dale with the Investigations Division. Please give him a round of applause.
I was just asked to speak today a little bit about our investigative division at the Sheriff's Office and what we do. I'm currently in charge of 7 detectives at the Sheriff's Office in investigations. One of those detectives is assigned full-time to our offender registration unit, ORU. He works with 3 other staff members, and their job is to primarily monitor and take care of the registration for the approximately 1,000 registered offenders that we have either living, working, or going to school in our county. At times, he also has to put cases forward for violation of the Kansas Offender Registration Act. Last year, we put approximately 100 cases over to the DA's office for violation of that act. In conjunction with that, I also supervise the activities of 6 other detectives that are assigned to our division. One of those is fully tasked with taking care of criminal intel, information that we get in from other agencies or outside sources. He puts that together. He communicates and works with in our own agency and outside agencies to make sure we receive and disseminate and get out intel related to crimes or crimes within our community and out in the county. With that, I have 5 other detectives. Those 5 cover the shifts. We work from 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. at night, and after that, we have an on-call detective that covers everything in between those hours. So we always have someone available to take care of or answer calls or crimes. Currently, our detectives are set up on a rotational basis for receiving cases. I don't have detectives that are specifically assigned to investigate certain crimes. We choose to assign our cases out on a rotational basis. In other words, whatever comes up, one detective will get that. They may get something the next time. For us, that creates an opportunity for cases to be assigned out in a more equitable manner. It also gives our detectives the opportunity to have a wider variety of cases to investigate, and it makes them more well-rounded. It gives them the opportunity to look into things and become well-versed in what they do and into a wide variety of different cases. So that's a little bit about what we do and what we're at.
All right, thank you very much. Chief, Sheriff, do you have anything you'd like to add? I thought so.
Well, Officer Wall did point out that we are down in auto thefts, but something that we are really experiencing a rash of is car burglaries right now. Break-ins of cars are really high. So lock it, remove it, lock it, or lose it, right? There it is. I knew it was something. We need to get back to that. We really need to get that message out there. Don't leave stuff in your cars, especially firearms, okay? We have recovered 108 firearms off the streets already this year. We've had upwards of 50 that have been taken out of vehicles already this year. And of those, about 50% of those vehicles have been left unlocked. So again, don't leave your gun in your car if you feel the need to carry a gun. Be responsible if you're going to carry a firearm. So, and with that, you're going to be doing a presentation. Hopefully Jerry's going to do a presentation on a new initiative that we got going, so we're really excited. Good to see all the community partners here. Got a lot of great things going on in Topeka. A lot of things are really starting to move. The partnerships with the Rescue Mission and all the other community partners, Center for Peace and Justice. A lot of things are happening and a lot of things are moving. And it's one of those things, if you want to keep up, you need to get on board because Topeka, Shawnee County is really moving fast with a lot of things that are going on.
Well said from our partner in the same building there. Again, I reiterate, just like what the chief says, is that we work in partnership. Many of you have heard me say it. We cannot do this by ourselves. We rely on our communities. That's why that National Night is very important, so we can get people out to know what's going on as a crime prevention. We're talking about the guns, and to go a little bit further with that, people are allowed to carry guns. We understand that, but there are repercussions that come with that. If there's a certain building that you cannot go into with a gun, people probably will put that gun in their car. Well, there are people that watch what goes on. And then when you leave to go back into the building, they know that there's something in that car, such as a gun. You will be surprised how many people leave their cars unlocked. And if they leave it unlocked, you make it easier for that gun to go into the community illegally. So what we're trying to do is we're really pushing to make sure the guns stay in safe homes and safe hands and not into criminals' hands right there. And like I said, we'll have a presentation here talking about a program that's coming up. But the one thing about that's a partnership. Jerry Cole works for Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers is a coalition and a partnership of law enforcement and the community. So that's what we say, that augments the same thing we're talking about with that. So we appreciate everybody being here, and it's good having. How about Chief? Give him a hand, right, please. All right.
Thank you. And that was a perfect introduction to Jerry Cole with Crime Stoppers.
While he's getting this up right here, my name is Jerry Cole. I took over the Crime Stoppers program, I believe in March or May of last year. Crime Stoppers has kind of slowed down a little bit, I would guess. So we're trying to revamp it. We're trying to do some new things, getting into the schools with a new app that we have. We used to text. You used to be able to text, and we don't do that anymore. The kids are using apps. So we've gone to this new program. 3 things I want to talk to you about. Number 1 is called Gun Stoppers, and then I'll tell you about the app, how to get that, and then also we have a new website. The Gun Stoppers program, the chief and Sheriff Herman Jones came to me, and so did the ATF, about us all partnering together and getting a program called Gun Stoppers. In one city, that's what it was called, or a couple cities, that's what it was called. The ATF worked with it down in Texas. So the idea here is just to get these guns off the streets. So with Topeka being the 4th largest city in Kansas, a little under 5%, we actually had 12% of the homicides in the state of Kansas that came from Topeka, which is a pretty large number. In 2017, we had a record number of homicides being 30. The majority of our homicides were gang and drug related. Not so many gang necessarily, but mostly drug related in Topeka. And you say, why does this matter to you? You don't do drugs, you're not in any gang or anything like that. It's important because a bullet knows no boundaries. People are shooting these guns wherever it may be, whether it be up in the air, and it's got to come down somewhere, and it's killing innocent people. This is just one of the crime stats that I'm sure if you've been here a lot, you've probably seen. Our Part 1 crimes in 2015, 2016, and 2017 have rose from 689 up to 802. The Part 1 crimes where a firearm was used as a weapon went from 245 up to 359 in 2017. The next part is the stolen firearms, which the chief touched on. Don't leave your weapons or your guns in your cars and leave them unlocked. In 2017, we had 202 firearms stolen in Topeka, and we only recovered 43 of them. So the Topeka Police Department, the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office, and Capital Area Crime Stoppers, and the ATF is forging together to get a campaign to get these guns out of the hands of violent offenders. Not to take away anybody's gun, but just to get them out of the hands of the violent offenders. The program is going to offer up to $500 for an arrest or a confiscation of a firearm or an illegal gun. Now, typically, Crime Stoppers pays out on felonies, felony arrests only. And with this program that we're launching, we are going to pay if we arrest you, or arrest them, obviously, or if we confiscate an illegal gun. They're going to get paid. This is just a list of who can't possess firearms in the state of Kansas. Felons can't, people that are prohibited from the court for domestic violence, fugitive from justice, illegal aliens, parolees, and dishonorable discharge from the military. Types of illegal guns: sawed-off shotguns and rifles, automatic weapons, guns with silencers. I put nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons in there because we're working with the ATF, and that's something that they deal with probably more than we do, so I kept that in there. Any type of gun that's been altered, if they scratch off the serial number, that's an illegal gun. And then also stolen guns. The tipster's going to ask to provide information to Crime Stoppers. They're going to ask to be pretty specific about who's got the gun, where they're at, where the gun's located, things like that. They're going to get a code number, and they're going to get a password, and they need to be the first person to report it. And then if we get the gun, they're going to be paid cash. Okay, so the new app that we're using is called P3. There's going to be 3 ways that people can report to Crime Stoppers. They can either get online to p3tips.com, or they can go to our website and download the mobile app. Once you download the mobile app, you're going to select the state, and then you'll select Topeka Crime Stoppers. I believe it might say Topeka Shawnee County Crime Stoppers on there. So you'll download that. The type of offense, you're going to try to figure out, if you can, what type of offense it was. If it's one of the Gun Stoppers programs, then I've got that listed on there as well. So you just know where an illegal gun is. You just click Gun Stoppers, and it will send it to the right area. So then this is the part where you submit the tip. Just be as detailed as you can, and submit the tip, and it will come to my email and to my phone. This is what the app looks like after you've done that and you're ready to go. It says you can submit a tip directly, or if you need to update something. This person's left and they still have the weapon with them and they're driving now, you can update that. I can talk to you immediately, and I still, I don't know who you are, but we can have that two-way dialogue back and forth. So then there's the p3tips.com. That's what that'll look like if you go online and you look up p3tips.com. You submit a new tip, same type of thing. You got to say the state of Kansas and Topeka, but then you can submit a tip that way as well. So I just wanted to say real quick that we're also partnering with 501. We're putting these apps on all of their tablets so that then when they, everybody gets a tablet, it seems like in school, even the elementary schools is what I've been told. And so it's going to be on all these kids' apps. So they don't have to download it to their phone. They don't have to worry about looking like a snitch because everybody's got the app on 501, in the 501 schools. I hope to meet with the other schools, Washburn Rural and Seaman and Shawnee Heights soon. So, any questions? Okay, the new website, and Chrissy's going to send that out to you, TopekaCrimeStoppers.org or CapitalaAreaCrimeStoppers.com. Either one of those will get you to the new website. We've got unsolved homicides on there. We've got wanted subjects on there. It's really a good website that hopefully will get everybody using again. Okay?
Thank you. Awesome. That is a great tool, and I hope everyone, if you haven't already, go ahead and download that app for your phone. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Barry Feeker to talk about our initiative as we move forward with it. Barry?
Thank you, Kirsty. It's good to see you all today, and really appreciate the opportunity to take it to the next level. I know some of you weren't here last time, and so, Lynn, could I grab that clicker from you? Thank you. Weren't here last time, so we're going to do two things today. We're talking about declaring war on human trafficking, Topeka, Shawnee County, and then beyond that. I'm going to give you a recap today, a little bit of what this is about, and then we're going to talk about the game plan. And so just in that recap, we're partnering with Safe Streets, this coalition, to be able to march this forward throughout our community. We're going to talk about this war and a significant event that happened just yesterday. Human trafficking, as we're all aware, has been a global problem ever since time began. We think of it as prostitution, servitude, and forced labor. And breaking it down into maybe the step 1, 2, 3, or the three parts, it is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provisioning, or obtaining of a person through the use of force, fraud, or coercion for the purposes of labor or sexual exploitation. Just to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about, some people refer to this as slavery. That's one way to look at it. It's definitely taking someone's freedom away so that you can use them for your own purposes. So with that said, we're going to watch a video here to kind of bring it home.
We're going to bring you a really powerful and eye-opening report that might challenge everything you think you know about prostitution. It's the latest in our series, Hidden America, and I'm here with our colleague, Diane Sawyer. Welcome back, Diane.
So great to see you, Juju.
It's always great to have you on Nightline, but I know this is also a story that we both care very deeply about.
I've covered it over the years, and we've talked about it all around the world, but tonight, sex trafficking, something happening right here at home. Our colleague Nick Kristof of the New York Times and his wife Cheryl Wudun have made a remarkable documentary called A Path Appears, and they have been following women, often very young girls, locked into a life of prostitution by highly skilled profiteers, pimps. And you're going to hear Nick argue, when you look closely, these women are in fact not criminals, but hostages walking among us. By night and by day across the country, young American girls controlled by pimps are sent out to have sex for money, sometimes 20 men a night.
We had to make at least $1,000 a day. There was no days off.
They have to sleep with 10 to 20 strangers per night.
I would probably have up to like 20. I was so exhausted. I didn't want to do it anymore.
He hit me a few times, and then he had a gun and he pointed it at me and he was like, "You need to do what I say." He was like, "I will kill you."
Savannah was looking at websites when she was lured away. A study says the average age a girl enters prostitution is 12 to 14 years old.
So one day, I think I was 13. I didn't really know a lot about anything. So I went online and I wanted to, I don't know how I came across like this website for like, you know, like sugar daddies, guys would pay for your stuff. I didn't know that I would have to have sex with them. I just thought they were gonna, I don't know what I was thinking, but I just thought that, you know, they would buy me stuff and just because I was pretty. I don't know. I still did not understand what was happening, like completely, even when we went to the hotel room until it happened.
And that is just one way pimps lay the trap.
A lot of times we'll walk in, and again, it's not that bad.
At New York's Port Authority, two plainclothes officers, Sergeant Hector Martinez and Officer Jack Collins, tell me we are surrounded by pimps just out of sight who come here to stalk runaways. The pimps can spot them immediately.
But you're in a kind of race against the pimps. Absolutely.
They see, towards your left-hand side, as soon as they walk into Greyhound,
name of the game,
right,
for lack of work,
they want to be pimps,
they want to put as many
recruiters.
Now,
they
this
sit
is
there, they watch.
what they do.
The officers try to intervene. A lot of the kids are from foster care. A lot have been sexually abused. And the predators know exactly what they hope to hear.
They sell them on the idea of a warm place to stay for a night, the possibility, potential for romance, maybe earning some money.
So these officers may be the last chance before a girl disappears into the shadows. Maria has been looking for her daughter, who ran away when she was 15.
I haven't heard from her.
In his documentary, A Path Appears, Nick Kristof continues his lifetime mission, going in search of missing girls. With an anxious mother looking on, he searches some of the websites where the girls are most often advertised. He spots a picture and the offer, Mixed Latina Catering to Your Needs.
There's a Mixed Latina Catering to Your Needs. Emily?
Can you click on it?
Yeah, would you recognize?
Yeah. Well, let me see, and then I'll... Maria. Maria. That's her. We have to make sure. Oh.
Is that
Okay, that's her. Oh my. Okay, look at this is
Well, now we
listen.
found her.
We found her, but listen.
We found
now
her.
we have her. Now we have her.
Oh, yeah. We found her. We found her. We found her. One can give the police.
So what happens with these men? Will they find them too?
As he continues his search, Nick tells Maria her daughter has been trafficked in more than one state.
So she was taken to New Hampshire as well. And there's another girl with the same phone number, and at least one other, maybe a couple. So it's evidently somebody who's running a couple of girls and, you know.
It's big business. A pimp can pull into a truck stop with an RV full of 7 girls and make $1,400 an hour.
This fundamental misperception that somehow a pimp and this girl are dividing up money or something. Every penny she earns goes to the pimp. Every penny. And if she holds some back or she doesn't meet her quota that she is given, whatever, $700, $800 that day, then she is going to be beaten up.
In the documentary, a former young girl on the street named Shauna drives her car to an area she knows is frequented by pimps. One pimp used to call her Shelly Money.
You remember me?
Yes,
Who am I?
I don't remember your name.
Shelly Money. So, like, what are you doing? You got a girl out here? 3? 3 girls. So you waiting on one to come back now?
Yeah.
In the car with her, a longtime activist, actress Ashley Judd.
How much do you expect her to bring?
40. No less. That's a new rule, 40.
So if she comes back with more than 40, do you expect that she'd be upfront with you and give you the full whack, or is she only going to give you 40 because you told her that was the minimum?
40 because I'm taking care of her. You know, I got her a room and place safe to stay and drugs. So, you know, I got
The one you're waiting on now, what's her habit?
crack. Everybody would be crack. Everybody.
So you supply her dope?
And if she comes back with less than 40, I mean, God forbid, what's gonna happen?
I got a different system than other people. I try to treat them right. Like in the morning before they want to eat, I give them either a V8 or orange juice.
As we said, it's big profit, supported by the thousands of men buying sex every day.
The chance that any one of those is going to be arrested is infinitely lower than the chance that they'll be struck by lightning.
Last year, in one New York City court, more than 400 charged with prostitution offenses, but only 10 accused of being pimps or johns. In 19 states, they tried something different, highly publicized stings on the johns. This is Chicago, Cook County. Predictably, the men arrested say this is their first time.
First time ever? Or first time getting caught? First time ever. How many times per month do you think, would you say you do this? Never.
There isn't really demographic, occupation, doctors, lawyers, police.
The sheriff says he always asks the men a memorably trick question. Would they like to avoid the fee for having their car towed?
One of the things we always offer them, as opposed to the $500 fee to get your car back, we'll allow you to call your wife and have her pick your car up, and not one has ever taken us up on it.
And so, in cities across the country, thousands of young girls are at the crossroads. We're back at New York's Port Authority, where the predators are stalking. I see a girl alone, wonder if she's okay.
So I'm looking at that girl over there. Give me a sec if you want me to go do my thing. It's your call. Sure, no problem. Why not? She looks... Hey, how you doing, hon? I'm sorry to bother you. Listen, you're not in trouble or anything like this, but...
Oh, she's showing them ID right now.
All right, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. Take care.
Probably buy ID within 2 blocks of here.
Her ID says she is 19, older than she looks, and she says she has a job at the terminal. But for these two officers, a night has just begun. Last year, 69 runaways were pulled to safety.
We normally cover anywhere between 1 to 3 runaways a week.
And most of those would be trafficked if you hadn't intervened?
Absolutely. Either they're about to be trafficked, they are being trafficked, or they're out here living a life.
Around the corner from the Port Authority, Covenant House, one of the largest shelters for at-risk youth. Jane Biggleson says she hears from the girls who fell victim how easy it was.
One young person said, he was the first person who ever gave me a birthday cake. He was, they know what the young person needs.
If there were gun traffickers out there, that we would find ways to get them out of the picture. But that somehow, if it's people who are trafficking 15-year-old girls, then somehow that's not enough of a priority, and so we regret it, but they're still out there.
Covenant House tries to provide housing, therapy, the real help in life, only promised by pimps.
These are homegrown American girls. It's basically been seen as a public nuisance issue rather than as a human rights problem.
Shauna, who started at age 14, remembers the day she couldn't take it anymore. She says after 22 years, she was here, waiting above a filling station.
You know what I'm saying? I was so tired. And it was like, if you are a God, save me. I walked back out to Murfreesboro Road, right out there, and the police picked me up and took me to jail. And I was so tired, I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, I mean,
As she's driving, she sees a woman she recognizes on the street, someone who was also once young and had a different life ahead of her.
What have you been doing? You're clean. I'm clean for 3 years now. Well, I'm not, bitch. Get away from me. Get away from me, hoe. When you get tired, I'm not a hoe no more. When you get tired, let me know.
Where you at? Give me your number. I got a number. What's your number?
320.
I am tired. You hear me?
Are you tired?
Yeah.
Are you ready to go today?
No.
No? Well?
But I'm tired. I just want to get well one more time.
Bitch, go on. I love you. I've been there. I know. God, she used to be so beautiful. She's messed up.
I don't know an easy way to walk away.
As beautiful as the young girls back at home tonight. The mother whose daughter was seen on that website.
Maybe time will heal.
And that young girl who didn't know it would be about sex. I love you. Who found her way home to her mother. And as beautiful as the young girls, still lost in the shadows. And Nick Kristoff's documentary, A Path Appears, premieres on PBS Monday night. Juju.
Thanks so much, Diane. A remarkable piece of reporting.
Those are more than just moving stories. Those are realities that happen not only in places like New York and Chicago and Kansas City, but happen here. They happen in rural communities as well. And so what we are about is to examine it and to understand it and then decide what to do about it. I think it's important as we do try to examine this that we look at the fact that this is not new. In 1619, in Jamestown, there were slaves that were being used to settle that particular community. That's a long time ago. In 1831, a guy named William Lloyd Garrison started a publication called The Liberator, and it took him 35 years before he would actually see the 13th Amendment established, but he got a number of people together, people just like you, just like us, just like this community, that began to say this slavery that's been going on for 246 years in the United States of America needs to stop. And that is when, on February 1st of 1865, Abraham Lincoln signed the resolution on what we call National Freedom Day, which was the 70th year of our National Freedom Day as Harry Truman passed it, to establish the 13th Amendment. The interesting thing about it that we need to remember as Kansans, that Kansas had a strategic role in regards to abolitionism, in regards to stopping slavery in the United States. Slavery was intended to go all the way out to the west. Before Kansas was actually a state, it was a territory. And our ancestors, if you're from Kansas, you're definitely from Kansas right now because you're sitting in Kansas, said no to that. We bled, we hurt, we paid a price for it. Lawrence was almost wiped out. We say that the Jayhawks would have never gone to the Final Four if there wouldn't have been a fight back because of Contrail's raid. But finally, we had places in Topeka. This is a Ritchie House. Many people know about this place. Underground Railroad. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people fled to Topeka, Kansas to be able to be kept safe until they were then be able to be removed and sent up to Canada because people were wanting to bring them back and put them in forced servitude. But finally, in 1865, the 13th Amendment, the beginning of it says, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. That is what we believe stopped slavery 153 years ago on February 1st. However, we know that across the world and even in this country today, there are still people that are forced to do things against their will, and yes, right in our own community here in Topeka. Why? The answer is pretty simple. It's about power and money. This is the profits made in human trafficking, domestic servitude, this is globally, forced labor exploitation, and then sexual exploitation. 66% is what estimates are. That's nearly $100 billion a year. It's very profitable for people to do this, yes, even in our community. What we also can recognize is this is related to drugs. It's related to guns. It's related to gangs. It's related to the whole community safety issues that we're talking about within our community as well as within the world. In other words, it makes a ton of money. Second is they say only to drug production now. The reason for this is you make drugs once, you use it once. You can have a person that goes into forced labor, forced sex, and you can use them over and over and over again. So why haven't we seen it? Why didn't I see it in 30-some years working at the rescue mission with the homeless? It's because I didn't understand what I was looking at. And so actually being able to understand and learn something with this statement that says, our eyes cannot see which our mind does not understand or comprehend. As I began to understand something differently, I began to see something differently. I began to see that the gal, we'll call her Jane, that would come into the rescue mission repetitively over and over throughout the years. She was always high on something. She was always out of her mind, crazy. She was always sexually hurt, damaged, promiscuous, as we would say. There comes crazy Jane. She's a drug addict who's always promiscuous, or she'd go in the emergency room. We wouldn't call her that. We wouldn't judge her that way, but that's what was going on in our minds. We can't fix this until we began to ask the question, why is Jane always coming back into an emergency room? Why is she always coming to a homeless shelter? Why is she always on the street? Why is she living down here at the river? Why is it that she's always out of her mind? Why is she always using drugs? Until we began to learn there are reasons for that. There's always a reason for something, but we began to look at possibly she's a victim of sex trafficking. So we decided as a community And we decided as a nation, long time before this meeting started, that every year there are thousands of human trafficking cases reported, but many more go unnoticed. Human trafficking is a hidden crime. Victims might be afraid to come forward, or we may not recognize the signs. Even if it's happening right in front of us, we need to bring this crime out of the shadows, and that's what we're doing here in this coalition to be able to come together. We also need to understand, again, the bigger picture. This is the neighborhood health map. We talked about this last month. Many people have studied this in Safe Streets for many years now. Again, the blue is the safer areas of our community in regards to poverty. The red is the most vulnerable areas. These are the areas that many people have been working diligently about to try to empower, to try to encourage, to try to identify where those vulnerabilities are. What's a vulnerability? A vulnerability is not having enough food to eat. A vulnerability is not having safety to come home when you're a child and you're trying to find a good place to sleep at night and you don't know if there's going to be drugs in the house, or maybe you're going to be exploited yourself. Vulnerability is maybe not having running water or collapsed sewer line, all those kind of things. But it doesn't just pertain to poverty. It pertains to anybody who is in a vulnerable situation. Then those are the people, as you saw in the video, who are going to be more apt to be solicited to a relationship that could end up eventually in human trafficking. So the question is this: what can we do? Recognize that there is an enemy. An enemy. They may not call themselves the enemy. They may not wear uniforms. They don't wear uniforms. They may not actually identify themselves as we're the bad guys, but there is an enemy invading our schools, our playgrounds, our community centers, our malls, our businesses, our places of worship, our neighborhoods. Their system is designed to enslave the most vulnerable for profit and to destroy individuals and families. And so let's call it what it is. That's an enemy that has invaded us. Understanding traffickers have declared war on our sisters and brothers, our children. They may not call it war, but that's what it is. They're trying to destroy somebody. That's what people do in war. They try to destroy the other guys. They really have no regard whatsoever for you or your family members or the people that they're destroying. I've seen some of the most devastated people in my life because of the destruction that human trafficking produces. Some of those broken, dehumanized people that if you open up the back door of your car and you open up the trunk at the same time and say, get in the back, they're likely to crawl in the trunk. And that's literally happened when we invited them to get in the car. Those kind of things happen. That is what you call a very dehumanized individual. So we said we must fight back. It's time to declare war on the systems of trafficking, to actually live up to what the 13th Amendment says, and to be able to go out into our community in Topeka, Kansas, and be able to do this. In Kansas, on February 1st, the 70th year of National Freedom Day, the Kansas legislature, this is the House of Representatives, stood up 125 members and voted unanimously to declare war on human trafficking in Kansas, making this the first state in the nation to declare war back at the people who declared war on us. That was the House in the morning. In the afternoon, the Senate did the same thing. All 40 senators signed on to this to make Kansas, again, the first state in the country to do this. Last night, historic event happened in Topeka, Kansas. Our city council voted 9-0 to declare war on human trafficking. Tomorrow morning, the county commission will do the same thing, making this the first city and county in the United States to take this bold step, to take a step to say, we are seeing this for what it is. It's a declaration of war on us, even though it's not written out. It's a declaration of war on our citizens, on our children, and we're going to take a stand. So tomorrow morning, after the county votes on this at 11 a.m. at the Law Enforcement Center, there's going to be a press conference, and it's going to have a number of people that are going to speak to this very issue. Our chief, our sheriff, our district attorney, our attorney general, the head of the Department of Children and Families, Brian Cole. Other people are going to be standing there saying, we're coming together to be able to say no to this issue. So you're all invited tomorrow morning, if you can, 11 a.m., as these two bodies, the city and the county, have come together, making an historic mark, not unlike what happened in the 1860s with Kansas, with Topeka, taking a stand to say no, no more. So the question is, what will we do as a community? The chief said there's a lot moving in Topeka, Kansas. There really is. But where's it going to move? Is it going to go this way? Is it going to go this way, or this way? Is it going to go all over the place, or are we going to come together? Are we on a cruise ship? That's the question in life, just kind of sailing along, just wanting to get along? Or are we on a battleship that's ready to go to war, that's ready to do what we need to do? The good news is we're not new at this. There's already been organizations like the Topeka Shawnee County Human Trafficking Coalition has been working for at least 2 years on this. The YWCA, Center for Safety and Empowerment, Topeka Rescue Missions Restore Hope, Topeka Public Schools and private schools, all of our law enforcement organizations, social services, state and local agencies, all working together. The reason I show a bunch of ships up there, that's an armada. We have the system that's in place. What the Safe Streets Coalition can do is just get every mother and father, boy and girl, every organization on board to be able to do this. So this is the battle plan. The mission of the battle plan is let's be brave. We're the land of the free and the home of the brave. Well, we're not exactly free in that song today if people are being enslaved, but we can be if we're going to be brave. So support state efforts to eradicate human trafficking, which is modern-day slavery, from all 50 states. Our goal with this whole idea of Freedom Now USA is to make Topeka, Kansas, Shawnee County, the state of Kansas, a model that other communities then can begin to build off of. The vision, declare war on modern-day slavery by constructing and managing a national frame for which states can share resources and collaborate to effectively eradicate slavery from the United States. Is that too much to ask? Not really. Not really. When you know what you're doing, when you come together, we have the power of the people to do this. We have the power of the passion of the people to do this. The battle plan is to gain support from key leaders, city and state. Did it in Kansas, done it in Topeka and Shawnee County. Help states establish or partner with existing coalitions to discuss, evaluate, and create action plans for their sector. Create a framework for states to collaborate, to share vital resources, best practices, and data. So this is what we're doing with Safe Streets. There are 15 different sectors here. As you can see, law enforcement, judicial, corrections, faith community, neighborhood, health, social services, behavioral health, transportation, local businesses, education, government, armed services, media, and first responder. One of those is corrections. Brian Cole is our director of the department, not deputy director, his deputy director over here. Brian Cole is our director of the Shawnee County Department of Corrections. And Brian, if you just come up and share your reason for saying yes to leading the sector. You can see some other names up here. We'll mention those in a minute, but I just wanted you to hear Brian's heart.
Thank you, Barry. Folks, I'm pumped. And a lot of people ask me a lot of times, okay, Brian, you're in charge of the jail. Aren't you just there to hold people and to make them safe and say later on get them back out? And the answer is no. That's not my philosophy. It never has been. It never will be. The bottom line is that we book in maybe 10,000 people a year, maybe close to 500 juveniles. And I have sat in rooms talking to victims of sex trafficking, and it breaks my heart. I went to, and I had some people from the rescue mission give me kind of a checklist. We had a female come in here a while back, and they said, Brian, you like to talk to the inmates, your passion for mental health. We have a female I think we need you to talk to. So I come down here, and as I'm talking to her, I'm talking to her, and I'm going through this checklist thinking, okay, realizing I'm dealing with somebody who is actually being sex trafficked. And she's a victim. She's scared. She's telling me there's a pimp outside the jail sitting in a car who's going to want to come bond her out. It's not illegal. So I'm thinking, okay, let me go out there. Tell me the car. Yep, there is. I get a call from, at that time, Chad Taylor says, Brian, you're going to have a guy that's going to come up. I need us to keep an eye on this guy because we think he's doing business. Okay, he is. This girl was probably 21, had tattoos on her that showed ownership to this guy. She had drug marks all up and down her arms. I had medical staff, mental health staff talking to her. My heart broke not because she was in jail, because she did commit a crime, but what was going on with her and knowing that her situation was causing her to be in jail. Trust me, I'm not soft on crime, but when I see that, my heart breaks. And I was very upset when I saw that. And so sooner or later, I started getting calls from members of the mission saying, Brian, you're going to have people come into the jail that are victims. We need you to start calling. I'm thinking, okay, look, they're doing this sometimes because they need the money. Maybe they don't want to work. Then I kind of find out this is real. This is huge. This is big. For me, I'm on the corrections sector for one reason. This is my call to duty for this community to give me direction. We're going to saturate as much information as we can and give as much information as we can to those in the corrections field of setting up processes and places or systems so we can identify just the symptoms or just who are or how we can identify victims, number one. What are processes we can put in place for referrals? What are things we can do at the federal probation? What are things we can do at the juvenile center? What are things we can do? I took a trip down to Wichita and saw the children's home, and I was amazed and thinking, okay, that's what I'm going to push for, is we need a shelter to house those victims here. So I'm not ready to say I don't see any commissioners here. I'm not saying I'm ready to go announce anything like that. Please know that. But that's my passion. I've got Angela McCarty, who's the deputy director, WAVE. She's going to be the vice chair, and I've got Hannah McGahey, who is she is our reentry and discharge counselor or coordinator at the jail for those dealing with mental health. We haven't stopped, and the reason I bring it up, what is so important to me is just because someone lands himself in jail, there's another story, and there's other things. So we've got to do our part that when I get them in jail, trust me, I don't mean this with any disrespect. I have a captive audience, means I'm there. I want to get as much information as I can to be able to make the referrals and to get them to break that cycle. We can get them to safe homes and stuff like that. I'm excited. I'm going to push you. Barry's going to have a leash on me for a little bit. But I'm going to tell you that I'm going to be pushing each sector. I've got my own sector, but it's to get out there and as much as we can do. I did not have any idea how big this was until I sit down and talk with Barry and his staff. This is big, so we're pumped. I'm very passionate about this, and I'm on board. I'll do whatever I need to do, Barry. Appreciate it.
Okay, as I finish up here today, thank you, Brian, so much. As I finish up here today, they're going to be passing out some information to you. There's 2 sheets. I'll explain what they are in a minute, but this is something is how you're going to be able to participate. But I want you, as they're passing it out, I want you to look at these sectors and see who we have as sector chairs already. We have Kirk Thompson. He is going to sector lead the law enforcement. He's the head of the KBI. Mike Kagay, who is our district attorney judicial. Brian, you just heard from. Faith Community is T.D. Hicks. Our neighborhoods is Trey George, the Topeka Housing Authority. Health is to be determined at this point. Social Services, Michelle McCormick with the YWCA Safety of Empowerment. Behavioral Health, Vallejo, Bill Persinger. Transportation, Susan Duffy. Susan's already doing a ton of stuff on this throughout the state, which is really exciting in transportation. Local businesses, Patty Millard, also doing a lot of stuff already with Rotary and other peace initiatives within our community here today. Education, Dr. Tiffany Anderson said she wanted to do this. She's a very busy individual, the head of Superintendent of 501. She's wanting to do this. So is our mayor, Michelle De La Isla, government. Armed Services is General Taffanelli. He is going to assign somebody to this with the Armed Services. We've already spoken to them about their human trafficking and drug intervention programs. Melissa Bruner, everybody knows that person, is going to chair the media. And then our first responder is the head of our 911, Melanie Mills Berger, who will be working with first responders on this. And so here's how it's working. We set the bar here at this coalition, working with other systems within our community to learn everything we can throughout the sector approach. If we're successful, and at the same time we're having conversations with Lawrence, we're having conversations with Kansas City, both sides of the fence, we're having conversations with people in Wichita, Garden City, and Liberal right now. If we do this well here, and they simultaneously are beginning to do well what they are going to be doing in those communities, then we can saturate the entire state of Kansas with understanding of what the issue of trafficking is. Again, looking at these different sectors here, our plan is this. We have a sector chair that gets a co-chair or a vice chair. They will select 3 people that they want to serve on their sector. And then we're going to appoint 3 additional people to that particular sector. So on your table, what you have now is you have a place where you can put your name down. You and your information, any comments that you have, and then we're asking that you will rank 1, 2, and 3 your preference for the sector that you would like to serve on. If you don't know, that's okay. Just write down, I don't know at this point. There will be a job for you. 15 sectors here right now. If we fill all of those, we're going to have a 16th sector and a 17th sector, and it could be 20 or 25 sectors. We're not going to be able to hold everybody in this room. We know that. But this is how we plan to go about this to bring everybody together. And so the game plan is this. Starting in June, actually next month, we will invite all sector leaders to come so you will get to hear their hearts. You'll hear from Patty. You'll hear from others who are here, just like you heard from Brian today. We'll have them stand up so you get to meet them. Trey will speak. That'll be the whole meeting. Then in June, the first Wednesday in June, we will then break out into our sectors, and then we will give you particular items to discuss at that sector. What you will do then is you will take that information that you discussed and you will go back out into your sectors that next month and do research, do recon. What's going on in the schools? What's going on in housing? What's going on in the faith community? What do we see? Some people are going to come back with a ton of information. They're going to bring that back to their sector and they're going to record that information and then they're going to pass it on to us so that we can get a composite picture. Then month 2, going to do that again. Just go deeper. Month 3, go deeper. Month 4, go deeper. And then after, we anticipate about 6 months of this. The anticipation is that then we'll begin to share cross-sector information. So we'll get to hear what Trey's running into with housing. We'll get to hear what Patty's running into in the businesses. We'll hear more what's happening in the judicial area and so on and so forth. So at some point, the Safe Streets Coalition will be the eyes and the ears and the understanding within multiple sectors, and we'll begin to learn from each other to be able then to take that information and then work with the other systems within our community. The Topeka Shawnee County Human Trafficking Coalition, the Y, Restore Hope, law enforcement, to say, this is what we've learned, here's what we believe was the understanding, now what is the game plan? What is the battle plan that we're going to have here? If we're successfully doing that in our other communities throughout the state, and we see this, we anticipate within about 3 years, we will have the state saturated if people really want to get off the cruise ship and get on the battleship and understand that they're not alone in this effort. Again, these are the sectors here. You've got an example of different sectors and what they look like. Those are only examples. That full sheet, front and back, just some ideas of where you might fit. Again, in closing here, we're not going to see it unless we learn about it. We believe, based upon what we've learned, some of us, that this is a way bigger problem than we thought. If we're going to try to take 30 homicides and bring them way down, if we're going to try to address the guns, if we're going to try to address the drugs, if we're going to try to address the gangs, if we're going to try to address the vulnerabilities and the poverty and the people who are suffering and hurting in our community, we're going to have to look at human trafficking as well. So with that said, thank you. Next month we'll have our sector leaders come together and you'll hear their heart. Leave on your table today if you know where you want to fit. If not, take that with you. No pressure at this point, but we want everybody in the game. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you City 4 for recording this. The meeting will be rebroadcast and I will send out a link later today or tomorrow with it. There is a bright yellow sheet of paper on your tables as well. If you wouldn't mind filling that out and reporting any feedback to us, that just helps us out. You can leave those on your table. But thank you very much for coming and appreciate your engagement with us. Thank you.